Hi everyone, my name is Luxthos and welcome to another Path of Exile 2 build guide for my Infernalist Witch Fire Minion build. So, a couple disclaimer, I'm gonna show real quick all of the update to my gear, my path, my gems. We're gonna go over all of that really quickly, and then I'm gonna showcase a little bit of gameplay and a map. I'm still very early in mapping, so we're still doing like 2, 3. The build still lacks a little bit of defensive, but I'll show you everything in a couple of seconds here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Little disclaimer. I'm going pretty much blind doing all of this, so we're still testing things out. We're still figuring things out, and there's going to be probably more changes in the future, but this has been heavily requested, so let's get to it. My gear did not change much. My weapon is pretty much the same here. I'm going to go over what you're looking for on every single piece of gear, and then we're going to move on to skill, path, and then some gameplay. So here, you're going to go for Spirit and plus level skills to Minion. 2 is great. If you can find 3, 4, 5, those are insane. Definitely, like, after Spirit and plus Minion skills, definitely go for Presence damage, really good. Casting speed would be very nice as well, so that would be super nice. For the skill granted, it doesn't matter that much. I'm rocking the Skeletal Warrior right now, and at the moment, they're pretty low level compared to everything else. So they're a little bit useless. Discipline could be really good, or even a Resistance Aura for whatever resistance your minions are struggling with, if they're not capped on resistance, or resistances. So that's going to be pretty good. For your Helm, you're going to want always max life, if possible, Minion skill, and then everything else is just bonuses. So resistances are going to be really good on there. Any stats like strength is going to give you maximum life, which is going to be amazing. You're going to want a lot of that later on. I'm going to explain that a little bit later as well. Right now, there's some bug happening, but you're going to want a lot of maximum life, a lot of strength, and that minion skill. On necklace, you can get spirit, you can get minion skill, so you definitely want that. Go for maximum life and resistance if you can as well, but that's going to be very hard to get. Right now, this is not my best piece. I could get a lot better than this, but the +1 minion skill is hard to replace, and 10 spirit is pretty cool, although I'm not even using it at the moment, so I could possibly change this. For the shield, you're going to want to go for, again, maximum life, strength, armor, resistances. Definitely in order, it's going to be you want maximum life. You want that strength. That's going to be really helpful. Any resistances you need to fix. Block chance is pretty good. Armor is pretty good as well. So you're going to be looking for that. As you can see, I'm shifting towards full armor right now because we're moving away a little bit from energy shield. I was playing around with it. I might go back to it. I'm still testing. But right now, I'm trying to go full armor, and I'll show you why in a second. For your ring, again, max life, resistance, attribute, max life. This is not that great, but you know, we'll figure something out at some point. My gloves are horrible. I've messed them up with a Chaos Orb or 2. Don't gamble, okay? So you're going to want to go for max life again, resistances, stats, whatever you need. Belt, again, max life, resistances, stats. That's kind of the name of the game. Boots, you're going to want movement speed. That 20% movement speed is insane. Again, max life, resistances if you can. As you can see, my gear is not crazy. I could get so many more upgrades. Like outside of my chest, which is insane, right? You have max life on there. You got spirit and resistance, so that's going to be one of the big pieces you want to get. I managed to identify this as is. Streamer luck. That's what they say. So yeah. So that's pretty much what you're going to want to go for. I haven't been able to find anything to upgrade charm or get better charm slots, so that's pretty much what we're going for. I have pretty straightforward flask. I haven't played with flask too much yet, so we're going to have to figure that out at some point as well. I haven't been using a second weapon set, so I'm still rocking a single weapon build right now, and that's going to be pretty much it for your build. I'm going to go over the pathing. So what we're going to be doing here is, as you can see, I only have 2 Ascendancy nodes. So I was only able to get 2 Ascendancy. I still have the Loyal Hellhound, and then I'm moving away into Altered Flesh, and ultimately I want to go into Baited's Will. So this is going to give us Spirit per life. So we want to stack as much HP as possible, which is not only going to be a defensive layer, but it's also going to give us more minions, which is going to be really good. The problem with this is, according to some interviews, we were supposed to get 6 points total, so 3 Ascendancy. in the campaign, and then the last one was supposed to be obtainable from the endgame. Right now, at the moment, it seems that the campaign doesn't award us with our next 2 points. And in order to get pretty much the ascendancy, the third ascendancy, to get 0.5 and 6, it seems like we need to do an endgame, pretty endgame-ish activity, which is one of the trial with like super high level. So like a 3-floor trial or like a 10-wave trial of chaos. So still a little bit unsure. I haven't looked too much into it. I've tried to do it a couple of times, and even when I did a 7-wave of chaos, it didn't award it to me. So I think it's 10 maybe. So yeah, a little bit complicated. Kind of tough to get your third ascendancy right now. I don't think it's supposed to be that way, so I'm assuming they're going to fix it, because according to their interview and all the info that we had, we were supposed to be able to have 6 points just from the campaign. We don't have the full campaign yet, but I was hoping that the cruel difficulty would award it to us, right? So anyway, because of this, we want to go for as much life as possible. And when looking around, there's this passive here called heat proofing, which pretty much 25% of our armor applies to fire damage taken from hit, which is really, really, really nice. So I have 50% damage reduction right now, which means that I would get a pretty substantial amount of fire damage reduction, which is pretty cool because we're taking 20% of our cold damage and lightning damage as fire. So if we can reduce fire damage even further, that's going to help out a lot. The problem is getting that node is going to be roughly level 80 for me, which is pretty tough to get right now. Every time you die in endgame, you lose XP. So you want to make sure that you do mapping in a safe way. Minion is very safe, but you'll see when I do a little bit of gameplay demonstration later. Pretty much anything can kind of global you in an instant if you're not careful, even with pretty high amount of block resistances and armor right now. So yeah, we just gotta be as much as possible. Pretty much playing on the defensive a little bit to try to not die, try to not lose some XP. I'm stacking as much strength as I can, so as soon as I got my minimum requirement for dexterity and intelligence for gear and gems, everything else is going into strength, which is giving me more HP, which is going to translate into more survivability and more minion, which is great. Also, this path thing gives you a metric ton of armor, which is really nice. Also, a lot of life regen, which is really, really cool. I'm going to try to have a full build planner on the pathing that I'm taking here. There's another pathing that you can take here, which is like increase the effect of aura from your skill, which I think might be affecting Pain Offering. But it's a lot of node right now. I would have to spend 4 node. So I'm saving, I would have to spend 5 nodes. So I'm currently saving one because I'm really trying to get this ASAP. And then afterward, I might switch this path in order to connect here instead of these two. Because right now it only costs me 2 to connect here because you really want this one. A double stats node like this are really, 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 really good. Even though the mana regen, we don't care too much. The life regen is nice, and strength and intelligence is really good. So we've had to abandon a couple stats over here. We've had to abandon a couple nodes that we were going for. We're still going for the max life here. I had to unspec through the revive and more minion life here, which is a little bit sad. We might be able to get that later, past level 80, most likely. So we'll have to figure that out. So I'm going to try to illustrate as much as I can in the build planner as to where I kind of want to go right now. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. For the gems, we got not a lot of changes, but a little bit. So my Skeletal Warrior right now are still using Blind and Maim. It's been pretty good, but they're so low level right now that I think they struggle with their accuracy. It pretty much never works anymore. So at my level currently, with the level of my minion right now, they're pretty much useless. So I'm trying to find a better staff. Discipline Aura would be really, really good. So yeah, this one is pretty much dead right now. But as you're progressing into early endgame, and if you have a good high-level Skeletal Warrior, this might be pretty good. Summon Infernal Hound. So you're going to get your 4 slot, I think, at around level 20. So this levels from global modifier from your plus skills on weapon, on helm, and neck. So this automatically gains slot as you level it. So right now I'm at 4, and I decided to go with Meat Shield still for the health. Wildfire to spread the ignite. Fire Exposure to give all of those affected unit by the ignite less fire resistance. And then Stripping Away, which is increasing the effect of that exposure. So pretty much the dog becomes the main ignite spreader, which allows us to get massive fire resistance reduction, which is really, really good. And then we're pretty much removing any Ignite from Skeletal Arsonists, and we're no longer adding Legion to Raging Spirits. We're no longer adding that here because it doesn't stack pretty much. So I misread Legion support, and I thought it was doing AoE damage around the unit, but it was attempting to apply an Ignite, which is not working because this Ignite from the Infernal Hound is better, so they don't stack with Raging Spirit. So because of that, we shifted the goalpost. We shifted the goal here for both of these units. So Skeletal Arsonist right now is going with Scatter Shot, Immolate, and Elemental Focus. So it's going to remove its Ignite capability to do raw fire damage, which is going to be really good. After that, we want to go for like attack speed, or any type of other added fire damage, even maybe a minion skill. Although I think I might add minion skill and fire mastery to the Raging Spirit. They seem to benefit from it a little bit more, which is really good. I've been playing with Fire Infusion here, Feeding Frenzy, and Execute. I'm still testing out some stuff. So Bullseye is giving them more accuracy, but for some reason, this number here never changes. Even if I socket more accuracy, nothing happens. So I'm not even sure if it works. I would still have to test. I'm still currently testing between the two, see if I notice any difference, but it's kind of hard to tell. So that's what I'm rocking with at the moment. And then I'll figure out when we reach with more sockets into our gear. For Flame Wall, Arcane Tempo, just to cast it faster. Fortress, still going for that circle. It doesn't spawn more Raging Spirit, but it does. It doesn't spawn more Raging Spirit, but it does have a bigger radius of the fire circle, which allows for more projectile from the Arsonist to be caught on fire and have increased damage from the firewall, which is really good, right? So any projectile that passes through the wall is getting added 50 damage. Which is really good. And also, it's not being negated from the damage reduction, at least from what it seems. So if you go for the information on here, it has projectile added fire damage. If you remove Fortress, it doesn't shift that damage, which means that we don't lose damage. We just get a bigger radius, and it's a little bit easier to get those projectile to catch on fire and do extra damage. So that's going to be nice. And then the mobility just allows us to cast it on the move without so much penalty. And again, the damage, we don't care. Firewall is not here to do damage. It does very low damage. What's doing your damage right now is your Ignite on your main dog, your Arsonist, and your Raging Spirit. Pain Offering, I started using it way more. We currently have Font of Blood and Font of Mana, which are giving you mana regen and health regen, but you have to stand very close to it. The radius is extremely small for this, 3-meter radius. So you're going to be using it and then trying to stay close to it. The problem is I kind of like to buff sometimes I've been testing between buffing my Raging Spirit or buffing my Skeletal Arsonist to try to see which one I like the most. If you buff the Arsonist, you can stand close to it, get some mana, get some health regen, which is pretty cool. Also, it heals all the minion around it, which is great. Expense is really good because you can only use this every 6 seconds anyway, because you can't use it before it expires. It has a 6-second duration, so adding a 6-second cooldown doesn't matter. Unless it gets killed and then it dies and then you can't redo it again. But for the area of effect, it is really good. Flammability is our curse, so we're still using this. I have currently Hex Bloom, which has been really good because you apply the curse, you kill a unit, it spreads the curse automatically after that, and then you don't have to spam it so much because it costs a pretty high amount of mana. There's definitely some spell that I haven't been fully updating, fully leveling, because I feel like they're not necessarily worth it. Flammability is one of them. The percentage goes up by 1 or 2 for almost double the mana, which is kind of crazy. Focus Curse is very good. It's going to reduce the delay, and then Inspiration is reducing the cost, which has been nice as well because this thing costs a lot. I've been playing around with Chill Charge. Pretty much the only time I use this is when I'm back clearing because it seems to give me a little bit of a movement boost. So I'm using it very low level with Ingenuity for lower cooldown and Unbreakable, but I haven't used this in combat yet. I'm still playing around with it. I don't know if I like it or not, but pretty much that's what's going on. A small note that I should have started the video with this, but the latest patch did not nerf this build at all. So the only thing that the patch note did is limit the amount of Raging Spirit that you spawn per firewall cast, which is now 5 max. So previously it was 8 or 9, and then you had to still cast another one to get the max amount. Now it's going to be 5 and 5. So you still cast 2 Firewall. Doesn't really change anything. They're nerfing the auto exploder version of this build, which is you were pretty much automatically spawning Firewall, which were then spawning Raging Spirit. They were dying, which was automatically casting another trigger effect, which was just cycling over and over, exploding Raging Spirits. We're not affected by this. We're not using any on auto cast trigger. So that's it for the overview. Sorry it took a little bit of a long time, but I'm just going on a little talk here with you guys, showing you my thought process and everything that we've updated for the guild, for the build, with the skills, the path, and the gear. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick gameplay demo just so you guys can see. There's a possibility that I die. I'll be honest with you. Everything does a lot of damage. So we're going to go ahead and try to find a little map that we haven't completed here. I think this one should have a boss, so that could be interesting. We'll just hope that it's quite fast. And we'll try to not... we'll try to be able to explain. There we go. So this build is getting pretty popular. There's definitely a lot of variants of this build from what I've seen. But there's not... I feel like there's not that many choices right now. This aura, by the way, is going to obliterate your entire mana here. For those wondering, I'm using a filter right now for my loot, which is why it's showing maybe a little bit more different than what you would see on your screen normally. I'll try to put a link to it in the description of the video because I know it's going to get asked a lot. Pretty much what I do is I just spam Firewall as much as I can and I die, right? So that happens. Sometimes monster are going to run into you. You're going to get obliterated. And whoops, blooper. Okay. Let's try to redo this map, but by paying attention. I'm trying to be too aggressive. I'm going to do it level 3 here. That's going to make it even worse, but we'll try to do the best we can. So you have to be a little bit patient with this. You're not necessarily the tankiest until we have like that fire damage reduction. So you kind of just have to go in, curse, let your minion go in, and try to be a little bit patient. Monster that blow up like these can be very deadly, so you have to be careful with that. So like I was saying, there's a lot of people playing Raging Spirit, especially if you go for Arsonists and Raging Spirit. There's not that many options, right? So they're all kind of going to look the same. Everybody kind of goes for the same minion node. Heating Proof is also kind of a no-brainer if you look at Infernalist pathing, because you're going to be taking increased fire damage, so you want to try to reduce that fire damage as much as possible. These guys are so deadly when they just roll in there. Also, maps that have a lot of doorways, maps that have a lot of trees, they're going to be a little bit problematic. Also, any map that has like small bridge, you'll be spawning a little bit less, Raging Spirit when you cast Flame Wall because it has a lower area. So you want to try to cast it in an open area like this. I might end up changing this spell at some point since it's being capped to 5. Honestly, but I think the fire damage added to the Arsonist has so much value that I don't see like what I would change it with, right? So, by the way, make sure you pick gear that says superior on it. When you salvage it, you're going to get some quality item out of it, which is going to be really, really good. So I'm just going to move around here, trying to make my way through the map. There's a lot of trees, which makes movements in Minion really not that good. So that wasn't a good map for me to showcase. But as you can see, I'm still able to do everything that I need to do. Still just spamming Flame Wall and Curse. That's literally all I'm doing. And if I see that anything is living for too long, then I'll go for a Sacrifice just to give my Minion a little bit more damage and hope for the best. And we're just going to try to make it through and be a little bit careful here. So yeah, when you look at like the current options for Infernalist and Witch, it doesn't seem like there's too many options. I mean, there's a lot of build, but if you want to go for a fire minion army, it feels like there's a lot of nodes that are definitely no-brainer, especially Heating Proof. And then if you commit to Heating Proof, you have to go full armor and also full life stacking because it just makes sense. You get a lot of strength from that whole area. So a lot of the pathing pretty much becomes kind of not optional, it seems, in this way. But there is another variant that I would like to try, which is going heavy energy shield. So I'll definitely play more with this once I get level 80. If I can get heat proofing, I'll see how my if I can get my next ascendancy, my third ascendancy would help a lot right now, because I would be able to to actually benefit from having all this life, because right now I'm stacking a bunch of life, but we're not getting any more minions. So there we go. So we're just going to try to clear this. Whenever you get to 200 monster or less, you're going to get some rare icons that are going to show. You kill those, and then you find... I think there's a boss on this one, though, so it might be a little bit different. Definitely try to stay away from stuff. We're going to use the sacrifice here. I'm not using it enough. I got to get into the habit of using it a little bit more. Definitely going to try to go for that boss soon and get in there. So, yeah, there's going to be... Infernalist Witch is very popular right now, so a lot of the build will end up resembling each other a little bit. But I want to try to make something a little bit different with the energy shield at some point. But right now I want to test out the armor, the extra minion from the spirit, see how much it actually affects the build. And hopefully we'll get something good out of there. The other variant would have a lot more points for... You would sacrifice a lot of HP, a lot of strength, and a lot of armor. But you would have pretty much good block as well. You would have energy shield. That would be another option that could end up working out. Oh, you gotta be careful. So as you can see, even with high resistance, like, I'm still missing a little bit of resistances right now. Lightning isn't capped, you know, and all that good stuff. But there we go. So we managed to kill this. I think there should be a boss in here, according to... I believe there was a boss. Am I crazy? I'm going to show you a little bit more gameplay. Go around, try to see if we can find this thing. Because that was pretty quick for the purpose of this video. But, I mean, I don't want to make the gameplay too long here. I just wanted to showcase the speed at which we're clearing. The minion are dying. Definitely a little bit squishy, but that's just going to be it until we get, like, crazy good... As you can see, my gear is... I mean, I got some good piece, but, like, my gloves are horrible. My neck is pretty mediocre. The boots are pretty bad. I got a lot of items that are pretty low item level, which causes it to have a low armor, which isn't good when you're fully stacking armor, right? So there's no longer any rare on the map, but I want to see. I swear I saw that there... Oh, no, I think that because I died and I redid the map, the perks of this map is gone, which was the boss. So sadly, that's going to be it for this map. So, I mean, that's what happened when you record videos live. You get what you get. So if you die on the map, it no longer is depleted. So you can still do it. You have to re-socket an item, but I think you do lose the bonus. So there was a boss bonus, but I did lose it because I died on my first attempt. But this build absolutely melts bosses. You just have to curse them, spam your Raging Spirit around them, and you literally just try to stay as far away as possible. Try to be able to see what mechanics the boss are using, because they'll do some crazy range attacks sometimes. But that's pretty much the overview of the build. So I'm going to try to create a build planner. There's not a lot of tools out there. There's Mobalytics that have a build planner, so I might just create one on there. Like I said, there's a couple alternatives to this. I want to test out. I want to play more with this. Possibly get more block chance. I would love to get this 12% block chance here. That would be insane. But, so 12% block chance, 25% fire damage taken from hits, or the other possibilities would be to go for some additional energy shield without going deep into the armor, the strength, and the heat proofing. So I want to play with this one first, test that out a little bit, and then we'll update the build. My next update is probably going to be past level 80, so as soon as I can play around with heat proofing, see how much my build is able to scale defensively, I'll do a little bit of testing, and then if I like it, I'll probably do another video. If not, I'll probably try to play a little bit more with energy shield and see where I want to take the build from here. So that's pretty much it for the video. Hope you guys liked it. Hope it was informational, and sorry if there's a couple S's I did not pronounce. English is not my first language. Sometimes I see that a lot in the comment. English is not my first language. I might mispronounce some words. It happens. But I hope you enjoy the content. I hope you enjoy the guide. And I'll see you over in the comment section or on Twitch if you want to say hello. I stream pretty much every day. And I've been playing a lot of Path of Exile. See you soon, my friend. Bye-bye.